What's going on, everyone? This is Jordan with Conquer Trading and Investing, and we're right now getting ready for our live stream session here. Welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening if you're joining us here live. And if you're watching us on the replay, I'm glad that you're here with us as well. This morning, it looks like in the last half hour or so, we've seen some stronger than expected data come out of the US. We've seen higher than expected Philly Fed manufacturing expectations on the survey. And this has caused the dollar to come off a little bit from this morning. Dollar's now unchanged on the day. We get a good look at it over here. Remains to be seen here. I would say the next hour is pretty important to whether or not the dollar reverses on the day or is able to go ahead and start shaking off this data. I'm not convinced either which way what's going to happen yet. I'm very undecided, trying to get a feel. And I think the next hour is going to be very important for that. And let's see what else is going on. Let's take a look at the charts and really get into it. Bernice, good morning. Hey, whoever's got their daily reminder, pop in here and hit a thumbs down right away. Good morning. Love that you love life. Love it. Thank you for being here with us. It's a reminder every day to think of you. And I obviously know you're seeking attention. That's all good. All right, everyone. So again, right now we're just trying to figure out and see whether or not the positive data out of the US is enough to shake the dollar and move it around. Look, we still have this resistance over here. We're looking at the dollar index right now. And we still have this resistance up here. All right. And until we get above it, I have to be leaning with a bearish tilt to the dollar. I'm still holding my Euro US dollar longs. I'm still holding my US dollar, Canadian dollar shorts. And I am into a trade here on the Australian dollar, Japanese yen since yesterday's live stream long. All right. As far as how I'm going to manage those positions, well, I need some more data here. And again, we're about a half hour now to the US equities open. I think about a half hour after the open, I'll be able to get a little bit better of an assessment. This next hour is pretty important. I wouldn't be surprised if this holds and we start resuming upwards here on the Euro US dollar, and on the dollar, we start seeing some further weakness come back into the session. Again, we get above this resistance here. At that point, I have to reevaluate. Martine, Blair, everyone, what's going on? Glad to see you. Hope you're all doing well. Hope you all had a good day yesterday. Anyone, before I start diving into the charts, and I'm gonna blow through them as we normally do in the morning. Anyone's looking at anything in particular this morning they want to look at? Definitely interested in doing that, as well as anyone has any thoughts about what's happened in the last 30 minutes and want to share their insight, please go ahead and do so. All right, let's get into this. Let me check on gold before we do. Let's see what gold is doing this morning. All right, gold is continuing this consolidation. And this is kind of what we expected, what we've been talking about the last couple of days. And it's quite normal behavior after seeing some big moves to the upside and then coming off. And now it's just kind of trying to find its way in its equilibrium. Still obviously looks very positive, right? If you step back here, it's still holding. This was the move over here. I was looking for it to break down over here. I definitely didn't get a chance to get involved in this big move up here. And ever since, though, things look really positive. And I think it's out of play, though. I think it's neutral right now. All right. Sanjay, good morning. Glad to see you in here with us. Your US dollar continues to look, with a positive bullish bias ever since we regained this resistance level right here, came back, tested it, and then since it's been trading up. Now it did come up into this light resistance this morning. I have that marked only as light resistance. Ideally, this is the place to be looking around 1.119 and between 1.119 and 1.12 for a take profit. Again, that would be ideal circumstances. This session is pretty important here for the dollar because there's some positive numbers out of the U.S. this morning, and it's more of a question of does the market shake it off or not. We have the president of the ECB, Lagarde, speaking later today. I think that is at 1 o'clock Eastern time. Yep, 1 o'clock Eastern time. So the market could key off that. I'm not yet convinced that the dollar is going to be able to get a strong footing off of these numbers. So talking about the euro US dollar, I'm going back to the dollar index, and we're still above this broken support here, right? We came off the resistance. We're below this broken support, and it's now resistance. We're coming back looking at it. So I'm looking for this area to hold over here, right? Before I go ahead and exit my positions. But if we get below right here at 1.140, at that point, I'm not sure, and I'll reevaluate if that happens this morning. So it's a little bit gray right now. It's a little bit gray, but I still have a positive bullish bias towards it. Sanjay, we're really glad you're here with us. Glad you stopped in and were able to join us, and we look forward to sharing with you. Why would anyone be buying the euro? Well, I don't know. I don't. You know, are you a long-term fundamental trader? Is that why you're asking? I kind of keep it simple in my trading. I try to trading is so complex, Zoran. Trading is so complex that the best thing you could do is try to simplify. And one of those things is trading off the charts, right? Just trade. If you're trading off of a swing trader's time horizon, 1 to 5 days, generally speaking, then you could just trade off the charts. Why were people buying euros down over here off this support? Well, because this was a supply zone and there was support over here. The dollar was up into resistance. So that's why I was buying euros. And I'm still holding them. People could make the same assumption. Why would people buy dollars? The US has $23 trillion debt. They keep diluting the dollar. They keep inflating it away. They're paying 1 trillion interest a year. People are Russia, China, the rest of the world is starting to de-dollarize away from China. The US makes it difficult to trade with people because they put sanctions on them. And why would people want to buy dollars? Anyway, Australian dollar, US dollar. This looks good. This looks really good. Let's change this broken resistance now over to support. And this looks really healthy. You could see, I didn't get it. Move that up a tiny bit. That looks really healthy as you came back down, holding above the support, and now I've come up and broken above this resistance. So far it's tested lightly and it's holding right now at support. You want to make sure we stay above there. You want to make sure that today we close above this. Again, this was just resistance. We're just trading slightly above it now. And if we do continue to trade above there, if we close the day above 0.691, this looks really healthy and should continue. Good trade over there. And not only that, you don't have too much more work to do. You start making new highs on the day, and then all of a sudden you opened up some space, and this becomes a beautiful trade. Similarly, I'm in a similar trade here on the Australian dollar, Japanese yen. Japanese yen is the weakest today. I think the New Zealand dollar is the strongest going into the session, and this trade also looks really solid. I'm going to continue holding it. And again, I have this line over here. I'm using on this trade myself. I'm using the low of of yesterday? That's where my initial stop is down over here at 7.44. I'll be moving my stop to the low of today. I'll be locking that in later today, uh, and I'll be moving it to the low of today's price bar, but not yet. I'm not doing that yet. Sanjay, let's look at there's a lot to catch up in there. Let's look at the pound and New Zealand dollar. Oh, let me get another look at that. So keeping things simple, this is the pound New Zealand dollar. This is an important resistance line. You can see it came into play again. And now we have this support down here. All right. So if this support holds, as you come into it further, again, today you have a strong New Zealand dollar. If we come in here and this holds and price resumes up, then off of this the support down here, you could look maybe to buy. I would not be buying below this resistance. This isn't a downtrend, and it's the trade over here. It was over here, shorting over here as price came back up into the resistance, this trend line resistance, and then as price resumed downwards, this would have been definitely the correct entry. And over here, be watching how price reacts. This is a counter trend trade. It might work out, but look for price to show you signs that it's resuming upwards before buying. If this support holds over here, if this support breaks, obviously then you're looking down a little bit lower and you'd be looking where my mouse is horizontally. But just really important in general, it's really important in downtrends to sell resistance. So where was the resistance? You had a resistance over here in this area when this trend line held, again over here, and then over here. That's a good look. Where is that pair? Yeah, absolutely, Andres. Um, so, and we're not gonna. We already looked at the Euro US dollar. We don't need to follow it right now. But so if you're selling, and maybe you're selling off of this light resistance over here, um, I could get into that. I could buy that. I have I don't love it, but I buy it. I could see what you're doing if you're selling off of this resistance up here. But if you are selling off this resistance over here, give yourself a little bit of an edge. Again, find myself repeating this often. Wait for price to start making lower lows. Otherwise, you're trading well against it. Speaking of, let's check it on the New Zealand dollar, Swiss franc. No, yeah, New Zealand dollar, Swiss franc, right? No, Japanese yen, Swiss franc. And this continues to rise. We were looking at this yesterday, and people have been shorting it since, I believe, right around 1360, 1350, right? And they said they were going to keep shorting it up to 1450. Well, you're getting close. But there was no reason to get short here until you start making lower lows, right? Because price is rising. You're going, remember, when overbought or oversold becomes overbought or oversold, it can remain so for such a long time. And look at this move. It's a power move. And to jump in front of it, you know, is is just taking away an edge from yourself. Instead of trying to pick the top, which is a losing man's game, just wait for at least price to start making lower lows. And I wouldn't even do that. I wouldn't sell against a sharp trend like this. There's a reason prices move. Look at this breakout, right? So don't sell against momentum. Trade with momentum. All right. I feel like we haven't even started covering anything. I want to check in on the pound Australian dollar. I know I've been watching this. This is now tested into this resistance. I didn't take the short here because I took the long on the Australian dollar, Japanese yen. And again, I have to be choosy about my trades. I'm not looking just to take a bunch of trades. And I was also already in an existing trade. So on the US dollar, Canadian dollar. So I let this one go. And again, trade infrequently and pick your trades. I still want to watch it and see what develops. Anyone that took this short, I think this is a good place to get short here. You have now your stop defined. As soon as you came down and tested this trend line, I would be locking in my stop to break even right away and then holding it to see if you break as a free trade. If you get stopped out, no big deal. That's no big deal at all. The key here is to lock in the profit, to lock in the trade to a free trade as quick as possible. Let's check in on the US dollar, Canadian dollar. Again, this is still waiting, and I'm still waiting for a breakdown. Got to get below here. We got to get below, 1.3025 to begin looking like there's going to be some momentum. We're going to be testing down first over here, where my mouse is horizontally, and then hopefully further. But right now, this is just tracking the dollar index, and it's holding up pretty well. But I am, everything is still holding, and I hold those trades, looking at to give it room. It's only 10 pips in profit. I'm not locking in the trade at all yet. I'm just continuing to hold it as is, and I'll see what happens. Again, just a constant reminder, and this is for myself. This analysis really helps me talking through it. As long as we're below this area of this breakdown on the DXY, I have a bearish tilt to the dollar. I know that there was some positive news out of the US today. And then the first half hour, the reaction was pretty strong. I'm not expecting it for it to hold. And now we're kind of trading back up towards the highs. I think that is that part of reading the market, and not saying I'm right, it's just what I expect. I always talk out what I expect, and I'm always trying to be aware of what the opposite could be, so that way I'm prepared. But that really comes from experience, right? That's experience. That's not black and white. That's not something you could teach. But by walking yourself through it and talking about it, that's how you begin learning. This is the euro New Zealand dollar. This I guess you could. I want to look at this on the daily time frame. Looks like a false break. You see that this is why for support and resistance levels we use the daily. You can see the spike above. It looked like a breakout. It never held above. This is resistance. It never held above it, and since then it's been rejected sharply. For me, there's obviously no trade. I have to look at what's going on, be able to learn from it and see. And wow, that's all I could say is wow. Uh, you know, Nice to look at, nice to see. I don't see, even watching that, for me, there's no trade, but to see this breakout, this false break, obviously when that happens, you get a lot of traders caught on this side of the market. Um, for you get a lot of stops taken out, people who are short, you get their stops taken out. You get a lot of people who went long, and then all of a sudden you're coming back down the other way. Not tradable though for me at all. Australian dollar, Japanese yen. I'm just holding this right now. I'm going to reevaluate later about where I want to move my stop, and when, which is coming into this zone right here. So I'm pretty close to doing that. New Zealand dollars on a tear, on a fly. I slept through all this. I'm not sure why the New Zealand dollar is what the debate behind it today. I assume there was some positive data out of New Zealand, but I'm not aware of it. And what I'm really looking for on this pair, and I can't really extend it there. Let me look on the daily. I want to extend this trend line over here. I think that That area definitely will provide resistance on the way up. And right now, you have to look at the highs over here as resistance. So anyone who is trading this, as we get in close to 730, 45, look at how price reacts around that important level. This is, I mean, again, I try to keep things really, really simple as it's clear. The supports levels, the resistance levels are always in play, and as well as trend lines. And here's just a perfect example of all of that happening. And you can see price now coming into that support. And yeah, until the support breaks, we assume it's going to hold. This is always the hardest point to trade. This is always the hardest point to trade, the turn. But that's where the profit is to be made, and it's because of the favorable risk rewards that's how you can make a living. Let's check in on the euro Japanese yen. I know the yen's weak. Look at that. The euro is climbing up into this area, and the euro just continues. I'm sorry, the Japanese yen just continues to be very, very, very weak. I'm interested. I think above here, we've been moving up for quite a while. This is really where I need to look at the entry CCI and to give me a little bit of a help here. Yeah, we've been oversold for quite a while. On the next pullback of the entry CCI, if we hold above this now support level, on the next pullback, if we still hold above this support level here, this trade becomes attractive to me. But I want to see what the Canadian dollar, Japanese yen also looks like at the same time to see which one of those two is offering a better trade. And they both kind of look the same. They both look the same. And to be honest, I don't love either one of them. I'm gonna watch to see what develops and how that pans out. But I don't love either one of them, but they both look really good. So we'll see. That could change. I'm very flexible in my views, and I'm looking to. I have no problem changing my view pretty quickly. So although right now they don't look so good, maybe they will be looking. New Zealand dollar, Canadian dollar, holding this range, holding the support, now coming into resistance with the entry CCI oversold. I expect it gets rejected up in here. We'll see. Australian dollar, Canadian dollar. This looks like it's breaking out through that resistance right over there. It looks pretty good and healthy. Not only does it look like it's breaking out, it looks like it did break out and is holding. I think this is the area of interest. Once we get into that resistance area over here, I think until then there's a good chance that this continues upwards. So the trade obviously would have been off of the support. So, whether the entry was here or over here, right here or over here, those are the two possible places for entry. And I would be holding that trade until you take a look at that resistance and then see what happens. But obviously not something I'm involved in or got involved in or I'm looking to right now. I'm going to skip through this. I was about to draw that resistance. Is right there. The closer we get to this resistance, this becomes a little bit more attractive to look at. Nothing right now for me. Let's get into the pound pairs. It pound US dollar continues to kind of be nowhere, right? Sideways in a very low range. So there's not much of an edge. I can't even get a good read on it. Obviously, there's not opportunity here for me. again, longer term, intermediate term, this continues to look definitely bullish with a bullish bias. You can't think about shorting this until this trend line breaks, and then again until this support breaks. Once this support, if and when this support breaks, technically this does not look good anymore. But until then, it does look good. I think that he's got some work to do before things start happening here, and it's kind of in limbo. I mean, this looks definitely also with a positive bias. I think it was right down over here a few days ago when we were looking at this might be a good time to buy, but there's been better opportunity. There's been a better opportunity versus the yen, and it's not with the pound. The pound is definitely, again, it looks good. It has a bullish bias to it. The price is not really moving right now, so the opportunity is not there. US dollar, Japanese yen, uh, definitely continues to look good. The yen is just weak, right? The yen is weak across the board. That theme is continuing. US dollar, Japanese yen is back at this resistance. You can see this trend line resistance right here. And it has a little bit of work to do. If it, trying to push my way back here and see why I had this blue box here. And I'm looking at this resistance zone horizontally right here, another resistance right over here. And when we get over here, if and when we get over here, I think that's a good area to look at to see if we get any reversal off of. And I'm expecting two things. I know that the central banks are providing all this liquidity. When are they going to pull it away? Right? If you go back to 1999, is it 1999, 19, and then 2000, when the Fed was in a similar situation, and when they pulled the liquidity, that was the dot-com burst, right? The going looking forward, I'm expecting a global slowdown, 100%, right? And positioning for that is when you want to be definitely long the yen. So all this reprieve right now we're getting in the yen trades for me is just, I'm looking at that setting up possible future opportunity, and it's a question of timing that turn. Um, Again, we're into an election year, so uh, I expect the status quo to continue. So I'm watching the central banks when they start pulling that liquidity. Right now, they're adding still enormous amounts of liquidity. The repo, I think that yesterday alone, they added like $56 billion. That's obviously continuing, and um, if and when we get up in this area, I'm gonna just talk. I'm trying to imprint this in my mind right now, so that if and when we get up here, I could really take a look at it and watch price, because I missed that on the U.S. dollar, Canadian dollar. You guys remember, I was really looking from down here to wait to get up into here. When we got up into here, this was a place that I was looking to sell into, and I never did. And I never did because it looked like things were breaking up bullish here. It's always the hardest time to do it, right? So I just want to be reminded of that on the US dollar, Japanese yen. Euro, Australian dollar. This continues to look pretty sideways, you know, definitely leaning, with a slight edge towards the Australian dollar, especially under this level over here, but not tradable for me. Uh, Anyone who's been playing the range, no, I don't see anything at all. It's yellow. Again, pound pairs are not offering an edge. New Zealand dollar looking so strong today. There's the there's the support it came into, right? What does that look like on an 8-hour time frame? Very nice. Euro, British pound, nothing. Continues to be sideways. Nothing. New Zealand dollar, Swiss franc. It's starting to look good. This looks good now above this level here. If if and when you're coming into this slight resistance over here around this area, if we get a successful test of this, if we get a successful test of this broken resistance that happened today, and we bounce off it, this looks like a good trade that I would be interested in now that we've reclaimed this resistance here, because my next area of take profit will be somewhere in this area over here. So there's a good risk to reward on this trade now, so long as I get the opportunity to get into it. I don't know if that will happen. Maybe it'll just keep rising. Who knows? Or maybe we get a pullback, and if this support holds and we zoom upwards, I like this trade. This is something that I'm interested in. All right, what's everyone looking at this morning? New Zealand dollar is even. Well, this looks interesting too. You can see that we're down at this support now, right? What's going to happen here is the New Zealand dollar taking another leg down, or if this support holds, you take a look to the upside. I don't know. I know that it's pretty sideways, but potentially this could be a long-term bottoming pattern. I think it's really kind of important to watch whether that support holds here or not. So I want to remember to keep looking back at it. I feel pretty good about holding my positions right now. Definitely. We're right now at the U.S. equity opening. Right now, 1 minute into that, indices are again putting up huge gains. Right? We've been talking about that. You can't short that. You can't get in the way of that. And when they do come off, and they're going to come off eventually, but when they do come off, they're going to come off hard and fast. You watch. Tesla. What's everyone looking at this morning? Anybody want to look at anything? Anyone into a good trade that they want to just review? Anyone looking to get into a trade that they would like to get another eyes looking at? Let me know. Yeah, Blair, that's good insight. I was thinking along the same lines, but wondering why the Australian dollar wasn't stronger. And I don't know. I you know, when things are a little bit slow, I like to go ahead and read what the narratives are. All right, next half hour, I think is pretty important to give a type of clue of what is going to happen as far as the dollar. Um, Again, we had pretty strong numbers out of the U.S. and let's see if the dollar is able to build off of that, or whatever flows are happening in the market to shake that off. Yeah, let's take a look at gold. All right, so now first thing, these trend lines, let's take a look at it. They're not science. They're a bit of an art, meaning you got to give it a little bit of leeway. You could see why they're drawn in. You can see that trend line from the bigger perspective. All right, now come back down and look at the 8 hour with me, because this trend line's in play right now. And why I want to show you that's not exact is because probably this is the better fit, right? And I'm just adding into that touch there. There it was resistance, and now it's resistance again. And if I step back now, you're going to see that that little tweak obviously lines up everything much better. All right. So we're below that trend line right now. That trend line is resistance, and it's been holding as resistance and continues to do so. All right. So I think if you start making lower lows here, and you're looking, you know, you're going to be looking a little lower and testing around this support over here, around this support line over here. I think you got to get back above this area of resistance and this trend line over here to begin looking at longs again, unless you're buying off of the support. If gold comes into this support here and resumes upwards as it picks up, you could look to get long gold. We might have a channel developing here to the downside. Right? So if we break below this support, then you start looking for this line over here. Let me draw that in lighter. All right, that's what I see going on gold now. Is this a place that you want to short gold? I don't know. Not me, but if someone likes to take counter trend trades, this is a counter trend trade. It's coming off of resistance over here. You know where you're wrong right away, and it depends on what your time horizon is. But I think gold has a bit of a why it's under this area. I think it's neutral to a little bit of a bearish bias. Dollar now peaking up pretty strongly on the open. This is the area of interest over here, 97.33. Thank you, Maria, and thank you for all of you who have gone ahead and shown your appreciation. Do appreciate that very much. Guys and girls, y'all, we're just now about almost 10 minutes into the US equities opening. We're still waiting for an edge to see what is happening. See the dollar kind of, continuing, trying to make some gains, stepping back now. You could see that this area of support down here. You can see the peaks into the tails over here. Prices bounced off it, but we're above the last resistance. Let's see what happens. As long as the euro is holding above 1140, I definitely have a bullish bias towards it. And looking here at the yen, pairs are still making gains versus the yen this morning, even though the dollar is kind of now mixed and with a bit of a bullish bias towards it in the last 1 hour. Yen continues to be weak. Yeah, definitely. That's what we do. Happy to look at anything, and if anyone I have my analysis done. I know what I'm looking at here and what I'm doing. If anyone has any pairs that they're looking at, want to review, all right. Otherwise, I'm here watching the market and you know managing my open trades and want to see that I continue to be in the flow and manage them correctly. Right. So trading is it's preparation, 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 preparation. If you find yourself that you're active, 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 you're reacting to the market. You're probably chasing momentum. You're reacting to the market instead of perceiving what is happening and what is going to happen, and trading off of that. You're actually just being reactive. That's one of the most important lessons you can learn and fix in order to improve your results. I should start throughout the day putting these in order of what I'm looking at. Right now on the New Zealand dollar, Japanese yen, obviously this looks uber bullish. But how do you get in? For me, if we get the opportunity to look back at the support, there's the opportunity for me. Otherwise, if this continues up, then there's no way for me to get in. I wouldn't even get it. Why I'm in the Australian dollar, Japanese yen, and I'm in this trade as well into this resistance right now. You can see the bottom of these bodies of the price bars right here. That's what price is. This is what its next job to work about and get above. Um, I have my stop all the way in at 7544 right now. I haven't touched that or moved that. I'm still holding this trade, even though it's continues to be sideways because it's below this resistance. All right, that's why I took the trade, and it's still maintaining below the resistance. Just trying to give its time. I think I don't know how much the markets are looking towards Lagarde speaking later today, or I don't think any of the previous times she spoke in the past month that markets have moved off it. Nevertheless, I know that's up on the calendar. I think this is a really important morning for watching the tape, for watching the price action, right? Dollar was pretty weak at a resistance level going into the data. The data was very bullish for the U.S. economy and for the dollar. How does it react, right? How does it if price shakes off that data, then I think we're definitely the dollar will continue to weaken, obviously. This still looks good. This looks like it's just consolidating. This last move up, you could see over here, this is or even all the way down here is actually where the support would be. And it's consolidating way above it. I'm looking for it to move up into this zone over here. This is some big resistance above. and that would be a place to take profits. See, everything is into resistance right now. I don't trade these altcoins at all. This is above the resistance, so this looks pretty bullish. This is EOS. Litecoin, the second, mildly above this support over here as well, that broken resistance, whereas XRP and Ethereum are below. You can see here. You can see they're below their resistance, while the other two are above their resistance. Yeah, definitely bullish here. I did an update on this on TradingView last night. I sent that out to the Telegram. If you're not yet getting those alerts, go ahead and just join that Telegram group. And yeah, we got the bullish bias definitely over here. This continues to look really good. I think if you took a swing trade, if you took this swing trade off of this support, this is an area to take profit. It depends on your time horizon, but as far as a swing trade, this is the area to look to take profit over here. If we got above here, things start looking really bullish. But we got some work to do until we get above there. Things are looking good though. Good morning, Jamshad. Good morning. How's it going? Hanero. US dollar, Canadian dollar. I'm continuing to hold my short. I know that we're watching and tracking the dollar today after the better than expected data out of the US. See what the dollar is able to do. Right now, it's definitely at some of its strongest levels of the day, and but Canadian dollar is still above the resistance level that I took the trade from. US dollar, as long as we're above this broken area at 97.33, I have a bearish bias towards it. And then it's got the trend line resistance right above it, right? So it's got a lot of work to do. I'm still holding my positions, and more importantly, I'm watching to see how the dollar reacts this morning, and to see whether it holds after the good data or doesn't. Probably draw a trend line over here as well to the upside. Break below there. Which is also the same level I have, around 1.140. Euro trades below there. At that point, you might want to consider getting out of any longs. Hanero, I love it. Great work. Great work. Always be reviewing our trades, the trades we don't take and get into, the trades that we do take, and also the losses. I mean, good solid maturity, and good job. Euro Swiss franc. But you guys are talking about the euro coming off, so I just want to check what the price of the Australian dollar, Japanese yen. That's come off definitely a lot since the open, about 11 pips. All right. So this is the euro Swiss franc, and you wanted to look at multiple time frames. Let me see the time frames, the day one and the 4 hour. So right now, this looks ugly. I can think it was drawn off the 8 hour. But I'm going to look at the 8 hour instead of the daily. It's the same thing. But we can see this trend line here and why it's been in play. And above there, this is support this area over here. All right. So I don't think it's a place you want to buy, but it's a place that you wanted to take profits into. And I think you're looking next to see if we could get up into this resistance over here. If we get into this resistance and then resume off it, that's a place to sell the euro, Swiss franc. And the closer you also get towards this resistance over here is a good place. So definitely still continues to have a very, very, very well controlled bearish bias. But this was a place of looking to take profits. And if you're looking to reestablish a short, it's got to be into this resistance over here next. Otherwise, you're on the sidelines. Yeah, the euro definitely had people. I think Blair also noted with the 200 day. I had the resistance over here that it ran into and was rejected. It was rejected off the good data though. Definitely. That's exactly where it turned this morning. And I'm still holding some open positions here long on the euro US dollar, and I'm not exiting them yet. We get a little lower B, I'll be getting out around even. This is an area of interest, and we're getting close to it now. Still looks healthy. I still have a bearish bias on the dollar. And as long as we're below this line, I will continue to do so. We get above it. Obviously, I know that we still have this trend line to work through. We get a break above this trend line, then I think we break out of this bull flag and we start get really bullish the dollar, but not yet. Short here looks good above below this resistance. If your entry was somewhere around what right here, the low of this right here, as price made the lower low, and you would still be below this resistance. And as long as you are, um, that looks good. I think as you, if you do get down and test this trend line, that's when you would move the stop to break even. You know you're wrong over here. If you are wrong over here and price trades above this resistance, then this opens up another trade to the upside if it's retested and holds the support and resumes upwards. So this is a really good level because you have a trade both ways off of this resistance line right here. Let's see. I'm looking for this area to hold. I'm going to find out really quick whether I'm right or wrong. Definitely, 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 Martin. Strong selling pressure, come off quite hard and fast. But we're in an area of interest, and you can see here this is support. This was resistance, which when it broke has become support. We're trading into that pocket right now. We have this trend line. As long as we're above this trend line, I'm still have my bullish bias towards it. And here on the DXY, you see a similar thing. We're now coming back up into this resistance area. This was support, 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 broke the support, held as resistance. It's still resistance, and we've come up hard and fast into it. So I'm defensive and aware right now. Look at this, it just came off so hard and so quick, but also holding above the broken resistance. That's right. And it's close, and it's got strong momentum. It's got the momentum is cleared this morning, right? Over the past hour and a half of trading, the momentum is definitely clear. You could even see how in play the momentum is, because we're all of a sudden focused on these lower time frames that we are rarely ever finding ourselves looking at. But that's just a reflection of the momentum. But yeah, you never have to ask. You could always ask any question, anyone. U.S. markets are active to about 12 o'clock Eastern time, 12 noon. So for the next 2 hours. Now you also generally do see, which is why I'm not ready yet to give up these levels until they break, and I'm watching them here because the first 45 minutes, the first half hour to 45 minutes since U.S. equities open until about 10:15 Eastern time are very, very, very active. But then usually the next hour afterwards is slows down a lot, right? And then the last hour up until the London close picks up a lot again. Very important to be aware, right, of the time of day you're trading, what's going on. Good, 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 good question, Martin. In about 15 minutes, that they tend to slow down a little bit, and that lasts for about an hour and 15 minutes. So, which is why I'm just watching these levels right now with great interest, because it's, you know, it's not a time of day where you get a lot of follow through. So we'll see. Christian, I do. I let everyone know. First of all, welcome. Glad that you're here. And you know, every morning we start off 9 o'clock a.m. Eastern time. You could join us live or watch the replay. We do an analysis of the market, look for what pairs are active, which pairs are offering opportunities. We go ahead and highlight those pairs, start watching them. I definitely always let people know when I'm entering a trade, how I manage it, and when I'm exiting. I only take a few trades a week. And again, I highly recommend just spending some time. Within a few days, you'll have a really good feel for not only what we're doing, how we're doing it, but what works. And I'm glad you're here with us. If go ahead and take a second and subscribe so that you get alerted of when we're updating. And so Christian, this is about taking high probability trades and trading really smart, with layering as many edges on possible. It's not about just trading to trade and being super active and or anything but reckless. This is a business. This is about making money, doing it the right way. And I believe there's an enormous amount to be learned by everyone. As I myself am learning all the time. Been trading 20 years, learning all the time, and really push myself to learn all the time. And I think I'm glad you found us. So trading is obviously, it's a lot about perceiving what's going on, taking that action, and then managing it. Management. Watch what's going on. Right. That's what trading is. I'm obviously watching the market very closely. Again, you guys never see me looking at the 1 hour time frame. Market moving hard and fast this morning. This is where my focus is. I know what I'm dialed into. If anyone, see gold catching a tiny bit of a bid here. If anyone, again, wants to look at anything, feel free at any time. Otherwise, I'm keeping my focus. Jordan. So if you're not following me on TradingView, Sanjay, go ahead and do that now. And again, anything I post on TradingView, usually 1 to 3 minute videos, updates, new entries that are occurring late in the day, any other trade managements, and then I go ahead and post them on the Telegram. Yeah, we look at everything. So, and Christian, right now is the time of day, obviously, after the first 45 minutes of the US equity open, things slow down. So we've already looked at everything coming into the session, and you could just always you could always pull this back here, this bar, as long as you're not 3 hours in, and go back and watch the beginning of the live stream. But if you want to get an overview of everything. But right now on gold, so a couple of things. Gold obviously continues to look extraordinarily bullish ever since this breakout over here. This is the trend line. Price broke out, came back, tested that trend line, that broken resistance as support, and then has been off to the races, leg after leg. And now over here, it looked like it had trouble, but then this held over here, and again, and probably due to the enormous amount of printing the central banks are doing, the deficits that countries are running up, gold is, this bull market is still just getting started, but timing is everything in trading. What's happening now after this is during the holidays, and this was the end of the year event, and then now gold has moved sharply up and then down, and it's kind of now just, I give it a neutral bias where it's kind of figuring out what to do next. If you look at the pound Japanese yen, it's almost the same thing. When you had that big move up, and then after that big burst and big down, now price has been sideways, and now it's getting ready to figure out what the next move is. But I think gold is leaning into that area of where it's kind of got a very neutral bias right now, and it's going to be consolidating for a little while, probably for another week or more after this type of price action. And you have this support over here, and as long as you're above it, definitely have a pretty strong bullish bias towards gold. But it's got a little work to do to the upside before things look like it's clear, right? So right now it's neutral. Right now it's leaning into that support, Martine. And yeah, if you look, that's a good trade. That's a really good trade if you're looking for that to hold and price resume upwards. And again, don't get in preemptively because this might not hold, right? There's a lot of momentum, good US data. There's obviously the dollar strength could continue through the session and it may not hold, but you're at our level right now. Definitely good place to be looking. And nice trading. Here, just go down into the description and you have the Telegram right here. Go ahead and click on that. All right, here we are. We are now at the area of interest as we come into this resistance. You see it playing out also on the Euro US dollar. I'm curious what that means on the US dollar Japanese yen. So we've seen yen strength come into the market this morning after being really weak. Gabe, that's awesome. That's awesome. Appreciate that. And not only that, I think that's the way to do it. The first 3 days is kind of like find out what's going on, listen, sit back, and then right. Probably 3 days is what it took, Gabe, to really get a feel for what's going on here. Um, this looks pretty bullish. The indices continue to rock and roll. So again, it's really simple when it comes to the indices, as far as, don't short them until they're falling. When they fall hard and fast. And there's not easy. Nothing's ever easy. There's good money to be made. But right now, the central banks are adding so much liquidity and have the markets back in a huge way, and that money goes into the stocks. And do not be shorting. Don't be shorting. Don't look to pick tops. If things are, we'll be talking about it. If the indices are getting wrecked and falling, that we're going to be looking at it right here. Like this, I'm looking at the 1 hour time frame. Sorry. This is the indices falling. Right? That was going back to Christmas of 2018. This is the indices falling. This is when you want to get involved. Over here, sure. Right? Hard and fast. Right now, they're climbing up slowly. So you don't want to be shorting them. We're looking to pick a top. The XY is about to break this area of resistance right here. Definitely looks like that, Zoran. Which way? I don't know. I sincerely think gold is neutral right now. As far as focusing in on the dollar, let's just take a step back really quick. Let's look at the daily time frame, and because this channel over here, which I think is a bull flag, meaning I think it's going to break to the upside, and have been thinking that. Until it breaks, this is resistance, right? And just the same way, when price was down here, this is when we became long dollar. And prices got to get below here for us to be for me to be really looking for a weak dollar. And prices also got to break out of here to the upside in order for me to be really bullish the dollar. And neither one of those things is happening yet. So right now, playing the range, and we got resistance right over here, right? We got also resistance right here because we've come off this resistance and are now trading below it. And we might get back into here today. Looks like taking a good try at it. but then you still got resistance over here. Break out of here, you still got resistance right over here. You see this one sideways, and probably if we break out of here, there's a good chance we get to test this, and if it holds, this is when we start seeing a big move on the dollar. But we're not there yet. If that's happening, then I think you'll see gold coming off pretty big. Right now, it's not happening yet, so it's not to say it's going to happen. So pound Japanese yen is a little similar to gold, and has had that type of huge price action where it came all the way up, all the way down, and has since been neutral. And it looks like it's getting ready now to make a move. I definitely see like a bullish bias towards this. Why? I mean, look, it's from left to right going upwards, and it's holding above here, above the support. So that's, as long as it's above there, it's really bullish. And as long as it's above this trend line over here, it's also got a bullish bias. But all that being said, price is sideways. Price is just sideways right now. So wait for it to make a move. And then when it makes the move, look for the entry. But that's not yet. Euro looks like it's breaking down now. Uh, 72. So yeah, it looks like it's consolidating with a bullish bias, but I personally try to avoid things that are sideways. I wait until things get going. Big turn in the market. So now two things that we're watching: does this breakout here, break of resistance, hold? You know, if we spike back down, obviously it didn't hold. And the other thing we're looking now then is comes up here into this trend line over here. I mean, horizontally right now, the euro is also resting on this support right here. I don't know if you see that. I do. Let's look at the Australian dollar, Japanese yen. I haven't been looking at it. I'm more obviously focused on those the euro, my euro position, and it's only about 20 pips, 25 pips that I gave back. That's not really a big deal. I have Blair, and my position is the size is accordingly. I have the penetration of the entry CCI down here and this support line over here. So that's where my stop is, right? And if I'm proven wrong, I'm wrong. And you know, but right now I don't see a reason to exit this trade. Of course, this session, the last 8 hours, the price action is saying different, but step back, that still looks pretty darn bullish to me, right? That looks really bullish to me. Even step back further, the further you step back, the more bullish it gets. And why I say that, obviously, that year-long trend line break and this support then holding, price coming up over here, still looks pretty bullish to me. The last swing low is right down here below the support. I might stop in at 775.44. And, you know, I don't, this would be more of like a day traders type trade to have taken profit on. That's not what I'm looking for. Of course, this came down hard and fast, but that's not to say it's just going to continue bleeding out. And if it does, it gets below that area, then I'm wrong. So what I found is I make more money holding on to trades that go in my favor than taking profits quickly. Yeah, Martin, I think you could still keep with. I like the posture of like a big cat hunting, waiting, Martin, to pounce. That's good, and you might get it, and you might not, right? Depending on what time time frame you're trading, though, you got to look for price to make higher highs off that area. Let's be back in a minute. So Blair, just going back to that real quick, because I just kind of read your comment without giving it a glance. I mean, none of my take profits came into play or a hit, and it would be up into here, a little bit higher than we were, about 20 pips higher than we were, where I even looked to move my stop to break even. So it's just the time frame I trade, and you know, there are some instances where you know the trade could go slightly into profit. This is just slightly into profit for me, my time horizon, and then I could take a loss, but I'll never get my trades that I make my money on. The most recent trade that I took that was pretty nice was up into here, and if I don't give it room to go, I'm never going to get that profit, which is why I'm waiting out here on the US dollar, Canadian dollar. I'm just waiting it out, hoping we break below here. This morning, it looked like that was going to happen. Now, not so much, but let's see, the dollar has still a lot of work to do. And you could see, we were talking about time of day, and you could see in the last 15 minutes, things have kind of settled in a little bit and slowed down, and that will continue for the next 45 minutes, 45 minutes to 1 hour, and then they will pick up strongly again for the next half hour. Pound yen, yeah, it's looking good. Unless the yen has been the yen has been pretty weak, and the pound has not put up gains during that weakness compared to other pairs, right? Just look at off of this support to here, the pound has been in this range consolidating, right? While other pairs have made pretty big gains in that same period. Right? So other pairs are definitely stronger versus the pound. I mean, stronger versus the yen than the pound has been, including the US dollar, and the pound has been the weakest. So just because it's at the top of the range now of its consolidation, if yen strength comes into the market, then so it's hard to tell. It appears that it's breaking out towards the top of this range, but don't forget the yen has been very, very weak going up into here. So it would be not abnormal to see, a small period of that yen weakness reset itself. It's possible. Oil looks pretty healthy. Looks like it's holding nicely the support over here, and now it looks like it's resuming up off of that support. Looks like a good entry right now, where it is. And why is it a good entry? Well, your stop is below the support. You know where you're wrong, but we got some upside over here. Definitely good risk to reward on that trade coming into that support. Excellent. So I'm seeing tomorrow. Well, I'm seeing, what is this, quarterly year CNY? So I'm not exactly sure how this is going to play into the market, but obviously that could affect the Australian dollar. And then tomorrow you have retail sales overnight during the European session out of the UK, and that could be a catalyst. You guys are looking for a breakout here on the pound Japanese yen. Again, if we do break out here to the upside, and Zoran's right, eventually we're going to break up or down. But if we break out to the upside here, what I will look for then, as you guys know by now, I will look for a retest. And if we resume upwards, here's a test. You can see you never made back upwards, right? Here was a breakout, and then price fell. It never resumed upwards, and that's why I don't buy on the breakout to the upside, right? I don't ever take that trade. And occasionally, a small percentage of those get away from you. You never get a chance. The Swiss franc Japanese yen is a perfect example of it getting away, and you never getting a chance to get in right now. But I look for the retest, and then there was never the entry to get long. So that's how I protect myself. Again, for me, it used to be here, you never had a chance to get in. It's just floated up and continues to float up. I used to look for action when it came to trading, and I do not. I look for simply layering the most edges and probability on my side. And one of those for me is not playing a breakout, but playing the retest of that broken level to become support or resistance. So it's hard to say today. Just to recap real quick, we had definitely a nice breakdown here. Momentum was continuing this morning through London. Came into this area though, and had some good US data. Prices now retraced all the way back up to this resistance area. It's not cleared yet. Still got work to do, and we'll see what continues to develop. But right now, dollar is at a resistance level. This could be opening up some opportunities to go the other way. A lot of people are getting long dollars here. Not me. I might get out of positions, but dollar's got to get through this resistance over here for me to get excited about getting long dollar up at these levels, because otherwise it's here that I'm long dollar. Here I'm short dollar. Break above this, okay, we reevaluate. It looks like dollar is definitely breaking out. So it's tricky. It's always tricky, and it's always a question of analyzing what's going on around us, and then trading accordingly. So I don't know if I remember correctly, but I believe you took this trade Monday on the open. And again, just to review this for you and everyone else, if this was a gap and you were looking to sell this to close the gap, the best way to do that is wait for price to make a lower low, because then your entry is all the way up here, right? And you're well into profit now, but the reason for that, and then you know where your stop is, but the reason for that is because you never know how far price is going to rise. You always wait for the entry. Always, depending on whatever time frame you trade, wait for a price to make a higher high when buying than the previous price bar, or a lower low, to give yourself that additional layer of edge, which is momentum. Yeah, Hanero, I think so. And in this zone here, which is tough, right? That zone over here is tough, but you got to break out in order for the dollar to break out. Dollar's got to prove itself, and this is the area where we're into strong resistance, right? We saw some pretty big moves, rightfully so, on that strong dollar, strong US data news. What are you guys watching? Who's looking at what? I believe Zoran is positioned short the Euro US dollar since up here today, which is looking to be a great trade. This is going back. This is going back to December of 2018. There's some big gaps in here. They haven't been filled. They could be filled, but they haven't been filled yet. Could be filled one day. I like to point towards. I'll show you on a weekly chart. There's a big gap down here from the French election. 200 pip gap has not been filled yet. I was looking at this morning. This was the range on Bitcoin, and you can notice this is really the reason I was looking at this is you notice these high volume every time price came into the support. These high volume buys every time price leaned into the support. Then over here you started making lower highs, and then boom. Come to mama. Not letting up though. This dollar rebound is not letting up so far this morning. Hanero just pointed out, now we're getting into the area of big resistance, and that is really entirely correct. And these are the points that I like, because they're the points of if you can know one way or the other. Dollar is coming off. I mean, the gold is coming off. So this morning I want to just look at what I could always look and learn from. This morning I was focused in on the retail sales. Okay. But at the same time, there was also better than expected Philly Fed survey, manufacturing survey. Is that priced in here? There, this. And although I never look at the orange numbers, if they come in by such a big beat as it did here, then they are high impact. And I believe both these factors definitely are what we're seeing a result of this morning with that dollar strength coming into the market. And taking a step back, you could see the resistance it was at. Not from my discretionary trading. In a different system, I was long euro here and well into profit, and I could have taken some big profit this morning. That's why I'm reevaluating it this right now. It looks like you're gaining some momentum there. I mean, I got my fingers crossed, and I'm rooting for you, Martin. I'll be looking to see what happens over the next 24 hours and look for any type of pullbacks to lean off into. But I'm rooting for you. Please keep us updated on where you're looking to do. That's interesting. Just to note that why this dollar strength, Maria, is taking place this morning, this past 2 hours, that pound is coming up into this. This is definitely a pocket of resistance right here, but the pound has been stronger than the dollar during all that. So that's interesting. Yep. Call. All right. I expected about 20 minutes. This price action starts creeping back into this game, and we're going to find out whether or not these breaks, these resistances are going to hold here. We're going to peel back off, and if or this move is going to continue. Wow. Momentum really changed on the Australian dollar this morning, huh? So this becomes interesting too. And I guess we're seeing this. You guys were definitely on top of the pound, ready to move, right? This morning with a really really good degree of accuracy, right? I know that early in the week on Monday, maybe I was saying, okay, it looks like the pound is getting ready now to make a move, but you guys called actually when it was happening. That's a good read and feel in the market. Definitely like that. So right here on the pound Australian dollar though, this looks really good now as it would break above this important resistance. Uh, and why I say it looks really good, of course, this could still be a false breakout, but if we get a test of this broken resistance and it holds a support, if that happens, during London tomorrow, or New York tomorrow morning, I'm interested. I'll be watching it. And that's why it was a good trade over here to the short side. You know you're wrong right away. And now it's at one of those levels where also if it gets above that resistance, now to the upside, it becomes a trade as well. If you took the short over here though, you have to get out. Your stop was hit, I assume, and that's okay. That's good. Normally, if I get stopped out of a trade, I don't take it to the other side. In this case, I would consider it if we're able to take a look at this support holding. We'll see. Maybe this is one of the times the pound gets away from everyone. But definitely, as Hanero uh, advised, watch the trade, or that we don't fall back into that box. Yeah, it looks like the pound is picking up momentum here, and I noticed against the dollar, where the dollar has been strong against everything this morning. The pound is definitely the first to respond to the upside. Choppy out there this morning, everybody. Choppy out there. Very, very choppy. Don't get whiplashed. Look at that, Martine. Swiss franc has been so strong. What kind of reaction is the pound getting off it? Very limited compared to other pairs. Maria, which pair are you referring to? I want to come back and definitely be on the same page. Yeah, Martine, I know you were also looking at going long the euro US dollar here if this held up over here. Yes. Right, I know you did take that short over here. I'm assuming you took your stop, and now you're waiting and reevaluating. A lot of trading left in this session. About another hour, 15 minutes is going to be some pretty big moves. Market is much more active than normally. Careful getting whipsawed around. This looks interesting to me now that we've regained this resistance level, have come down already, tested at that support. We start making higher highs over here. I know that we do have some decent resistance right even there. Let me draw that in. I want to take a trade into resistance. A lot of back and forth price action. That's why I hang out on the little bit of a higher time frame, not get whipsawed around so much. You got the momentum on your side here now, Zoran. What's hanging out above overhead? So I normally have what I read on the market, right? Of what I think is going to happen, and more often than not, it's pretty much spot. I don't know what's going to happen up here in the next hour. So honestly, I don't know. So I'm watching intently, right? We're obviously at this resistance level. So far, price tried to break above it, couldn't. This whole area is resistance, obviously, between this trend line over here and above this resistance line over here. Um, I don't know if the dollar is going to be able to hold up here or weaken out over the next hour. But the next hour is pretty important. It's probably the most important hour of the rest of this session. So we'll see. So Zoran, I mean, it's good to know how you trade, but you seem to be a big counter trend trader. Um, yeah, if this US dollar Swiss franc is able to get above this level and then confirm it and hold it, then that might be a buy. But right now you're into resistance. I would be looking to sell off this on a rejection. You're in a strong downtrend. Dollar is into resistance right now, guys. Dollar is into resistance. It's got a lot of work to do. Not saying it can't break out. And, the base case for me is eventually this breaks out of the bull flag, but it's got a lot of work to do right now. Yeah, I mean, I'm leaning with you there. Yeah, I'm overall positioned against the dollar right now myself. That being said, I should have been a little smarter this morning over here. So some of the things I've learned over the years is that you really always have to have the mindset, a really humble mindset. And the most dangerous thing, especially in the past was when I was, trading my best and putting up the biggest gains. That's often what led to my biggest losses, right? So the more you find that you're reading the market well and the better you're trading, that's great. But also at the same time, make sure you're able to not get emotional. You have to stay humble, and you don't take more risks the better you're doing. That leads to ruin. So if you find yourself on this on the winning side of a few trades and you find that your confidence is getting really high, watch out. Take a step back, right? And don't get overconfident. So this continues to look good, obviously, here on the pound yen, and you can see this blue box, this range we had. We're now breaking out to the upside. Of course, I'm looking at this area of resistance, and if we are rejected off that resistance, and if we do also just get a retrace and back into it, and then bounce off there, I then do like the pound Japanese yen. I don't play the breakout. Good day trade, you know, and you got to manage it very tightly. And it's difficult, right? Because you don't know when to take your profits so easily, and you have to be glued to the screen here. And what am I doing? Looking at the 30-minute time frame. Yeah, trading has a lot to do with being humble. A lot to do with being humble. Trading's all about yourself, knowing yourself, controlling yourself. It's all psychological, and it has a lot to be doing with humble. And if you say close anyway, okay, I don't know any trader who's made a living trading closing gaps. Careful with that, Zoran, for real. And careful about suggesting that to other people, because that's not a good way to make a living. And the timing is really off on that. I'm glad that in this case trade's working out for you. That's good stuff, and I'm sincerely rooting for you that this comes into and you get your take profit here. You have the momentum here with you. Look, you almost even did it. Come into that support, and that's awesome. But taking a trade here, selling here, and then riding it all the way up into the resistance to go over here to get those 20 pips, that's the come on, that's not how you trade. That's not a good way to look at trading, and definitely not something to be, you know, be humble, right? If you got lucky here if you close this gap over here, right? Broke through this resistance, man, it could be a long time before you close that gap. And as far as 50% tracements, once something retraces past 50%, usually it's failed. So again, you could lean into the 50% retracement level because you know right away where you're wrong, or the 32%, right? You know when you're wrong. It's similar to a support and resistance, but buying something that's just falling, hoping it's going to retrace 50%, you know, so I think you're better off actually waiting for it to move 50% and then see what happens off that level. Totally, 20 pips is great, and again, definitely rooting you close this trade into profit. 100% with you on that. But 20 pips, and then how many did you risk for that 20 pips? That's the problem. And be aware, how many traders do you think, honestly? This is just an exercise to improve ourselves. How many traders faded this gap over here? Because don't forget, on the open, price started falling. It fell. Would have fall? It fall about 80 pips, right? Were there traders here who, who went ahead into that resistance and faded that gap, hoping it would close? Maybe, but they got wrecked, right? That can't be the strategy alone. Yeah, math is math, and math is, the structure of the universe, and anyone who is able to have an understanding of that is intelligent, not wise, intelligent. So something to really be aware for everybody. If you find that when you put on a couple of good trades that you are your reaction is emotional, this is something that you really need to bring to your primary focus and begin working on right away. Because what that means is that when you have losses, you're going to be equally, if not even more emotionally, negatively. And this is very bad. This is very, very, very bad. You guys have seen me take some great trades. I don't ever get emotional about it at all. Zero. Right. And you know, it's a if you find that when you have winning trades, get emotional, this is something that you need to really focus in on and fine tune if you want to become successful. Otherwise, you never will, because it's a very, very bad sign. It means that when you have some losing trades, you're going to be very negative. You won't be able to deal with it. It's going to affect your trading. All right. You want to become level. You really want to become level. Same thing in life. Life is cycles of ups and downs. And when things are really, really down, You want to have the mindset, okay, right now things are down. It's not always going to be that way. Soon I'm going to be riding a wave up. And when you're riding that wave up and everything in life is going great and coming easy to you, stay humble. Remember, it's not always going to be like that. Yeah, Russ, I trade with with a couple. Um, you know, so just to be honest, there are two of them that I'm not. I have no desire to share with anyone how they work, and you know, anyway, I just want to be upfront and just let you know that I'm not looking to teach people how they work, and I'm so happy to teach people how to trade successfully, and to offer what insight I could offer, and to really help them, and I know I could do that, in trading in a manner that people could achieve probably their greatest goals in trading, right? But when it comes to some of my program trading, I don't really what I'm is not something that I want to share on how I go about it and what I do, and so I hope that's okay. I definitely want to be upfront about that though. Next 35 minutes is pretty important. Let's see what the dollar does here. Was there, you're asking about why would people be buying the euro? So again, you know, my answer again was very clear, and so you could be like, okay, over the 2 hour time frame, I was correct, and absolutely, you definitely were, but I had no idea what time frame you're talking about, and yeah, why would anyone be buying the dollar, or why would anyone be buying the euro? Well, um, I think a lot of people are tired of dealing in dollars. Why do I think that? Well, the US government uses it as a weapon, right? They just this week put additional sanctions on Iran, right? They just removed the Chinese as being a currency manipulator. These are all tools that the government uses as the dollar as the reserve currency against other nations. And guess what? Other nations are tired of it. They're de-dollarizing. They're moving away from the dollar. They are long-term positioning themselves away from the dollar. Would they like to trade oil in euros? Maybe. I think the Chinese understand that they're not going to be able to buy oil in yuan, but I think they would like to be able to buy it in euros. And I think it's the US that's going to get stuck holding dollars. That being said, because of the way the system works and the euro dollar system, which is actually the reserve currency of the world. There are a lot of nations who have a lot of debt denominated in dollars right now, and they have to pay that debt off in dollars, and they need dollars to do that. And you know, there are a limited number of dollars out there that they need to get their hands on, and depending on what happens here, we could see the dollar trading much, much, much higher. Long term, we don't think that's the case, and we're going to see the dollar trading much lower. I don't think people want to hold dollars. Um, so it's not so black and white, and it's not so easy, right? Depends on the time frame you're talking about and looking at. And on an intermediate time frame, which is where I hang out here, right? Right now, yeah, I think people are buying euros here, right? You're running into resistance, right? This is not the place to buy dollars. Was it here at the time you bought it, maybe at 8:30 a.m. Eastern time? Yeah, sure. Good US data. If you're short time frame minded, if you're thinking, playing it from here to here in a couple hours, okay, 100%. I get you. But don't forget, the market is made up of a multitude of participants who all have different time frames and horizons. So when you're saying who would be buying euros over here, well, if you want to be like, yeah, look, what time frame are you talking about? Because I'm not looking to buy dollars over here. Again, I'm positioned against the dollar right here. All right. We'll see what happens. I know where I'm wrong. Yeah, time frames. I mean, you were 100% correct on a short time frame. You all know I don't trade a short time frame. I'm not day trading. Martine, if you're here, you got into this trade. What is your time? What are you looking to do? I'm interested to know. I think Blair, again, great insight. I was thinking that's helping the Canadian dollar is holding its own versus the dollar today, right? You can see the euro has come off well versus the dollar today. This was the opposite yesterday. Euro is making bigger gains. Canadian dollar is having trouble. I think it's the bid uh, under oil that's helping the Canadian dollar firm up and stay stronger here. And the only reason I'm kind of how big is that resistance over here? Dollar's also working its way into resistance here, and with a bid on the oil, maybe this finally will fall into my favor. Obviously, that would be nice. I'm sticking with it. Again, the dollar is, back into resistance, and it's always work, right? Sometimes things are easy, but it's always work, and nothing's ever easy. And right now we're back into resistance here. I feel good about holding the US dollar, Canadian dollar as it continues to push through. Yeah, this has been a good one. Let's go back, take a look at the pound Australian dollar. It's got a big bid under right now, you guys pointed out. So stepping back, right? I was looking, this head and shoulders developing, right? This is the neckline. You have to wait for the break. But what I was looking at this week was as we came back into this resistance over here, like a preemptive trade into the possible break of the head and shoulders, and as price resumed downwards, getting short over here because you know where you're wrong, right? Well, you're wrong. You got to get stopped out of this trade now, and now because of this level here on the pound Australian dollar being a pretty strong support, go and then resistance once it was broken through. That's why I was looking for that resistance to hold. It's a strong level, but now that it's broken, this is an important level. If we get a test, I don't play the breakout. If we get a test and it holds a support on the resumption upwards, now I like getting long here. So what I see here on the pound Australian dollar is obviously this resistance is now broken, and I'm looking if we get a retest of it and see if it'll hold a support or if we go back down into it. That's why I don't take the trade on the breakout or the test. I wait for the confirmation. I mean, Hunter also, I mean, you brought the attention towards a pound pair. Uh, what everyone has been noticing over the past couple of hours is that the pound is probably the strongest pair out there in the last 2 hours, and is definitely showing signs of not only strength but finally making its move. You can see even with the dollar strength today, the pound is trading back towards this highs. It's a good sign for the pound. Hey, Hunter, I really appreciate that very much. Nice to have you in here with us. And just because I've been reminded as such, thanks for all who have taken the time to go ahead and you know help the algorithm get other people know that people like this video, so other people could get involved and see this. Uh, those just joining, go ahead and do subscribe. We have the Telegram group where later in the day, any updates that come out, I post a 1 to 3 minute video on TradingView and then post that into the Telegram to alert you. If the pound Australian dollar holds a support, so this line here, this red line, let me just show you why it's here. You could see here, all through here, this was support. All right. This is always, again, an art, not a science. Right. And then when it broke that support, it came back up and it tested successfully as a resistance. When support breaks, it usually turns to resistance. And when the resistance breaks, it turns to support. If it hold here, it held successfully. How do you know it held successfully? Because price came into it, the broken support. And this time when price came off, that's your confirmation that it's now resistance. Came back up, it held again as resistance. Then it broke, right? And then the support over here didn't hold. Came back up, it tested as resistance, came back off, and now this resistance broke. All right, this line continues to be in play. This is now the support. You're looking for this to hold this support now. This broken resistance. Obviously on the daily time frame, I don't know. You have to wait on the daily close to confirm that this is a broken resistance. All right. So I'm going to keep it red until the daily closes. Now, if this does close above this resistance, this becomes support. And then we look and wait to see if it's tested. By tested, I mean does price come back into it and not trade below it and then resume upwards. So that's the new support you'd be looking at. All right, we'll keep watching it. Now, some people take breakouts. Breakouts are a low percentage trade. I don't take them. Here's an example of a breakout that kept running away and never came back and retested. All right, this upper blue line is the resistance. Price after it broke out still has not even come back at all. All right, gold is another example during the holidays, during the Christmas break. You can see gold was trading in this channel. And then there was this resistance right above it. It's now support. Once price broke above it, it ran up to the next resistance level without even pulling back. There are times price runs away on a breakout and never looks back. But most of the time, price breaks up, comes back down, tests the broken resistance, holds the support, and then the high probability entry is when it resumes upwards. Appreciate that 72 capital. Definitely do. Zoran, I look for, I review, what do you think that is? 20 pairs, right? And I'm looking for the best opportunity out of all those pairs during the course of a week. That usually translates to me to be 3 trades on average during the course of a week. Now, trades come into the market in sets of waves, right? The XY is still putting on the pressure up here into this resistance. 20 minutes to New York goes to lunch. Trades come into the market in waves. So when there are setups occurring, they're occurring on multiple pairs at once. I'm very picky and choosy. I look for the best setups. What is a good setup? Some buying off a strong support in an uptrend, selling off a strong resistance in a downtrend, and also something that has a good risk to reward. Those are the strong setups that I look for. So I'm very picky about which trades I take and when I take them. Let's take a look at the pound US dollar. So I'm just going to take a step back and first look at the daily time frame. So I have a couple of trend lines drawn in right now. I have this one off of the two lows over here. And while we're looking at this, I believe we have a better one to draw in. And it's down here. All right. So this support over here that I have, it's pretty dark. I think it's pretty important. As long as price trades above that support, this is definitely technically very bullish. Price consolidated above that resistance for 6 weeks, making a really big, strong base. And then when it broke out above it, it really broke out, has come back down and has since tested that. See where my mouse is right now? It's tested the broken resistance over here, and that area is holding as support, making lower highs, higher lows, higher low, higher low. So this is looking very, very bullish. And obviously now, finally, we're resuming out of it. It appears. What's in play? These lines are light. All right. They're there and they're light, and they're areas of support and resistance. And you're coming to that right now. You can see we're getting above it right now. Horizontal lines are always much more important than trend lines. However, when you get a trend line break, let me show you 2 examples. Here's a trend line. Once it broke, that's the first sign that you're having a trend change. I still think this is going to be a trend change. I think once we get up in here and this should now be resistance, it's going to be really become an important place of interest for me. If you also look at the Australian dollar, US dollar, or the Australian dollar, Japanese yen, you have really long trend line breaks going back 1 year. And when a trend line breaks like that, that's the signal of a new trend change. All right. You have that also on the Japanese yen. There's a year-long trend line. And then see it broke, came back in, tested as the broken resistance was support. Again, the broken resistance was support again. So in the pound US dollar, and the pound US dollar is not clear to me right now. I was able to very show that I believe we have a very bullish structure in place. And as long as we're above this support, it's very bullish. And as long as we're above this trend line over here, which I don't like the slope of it at all. There you go. As long as we're above there, we're definitely very bullish. But I don't have an edge yet on the pound. I think that price is still sideways. And again, if you go back here to October, price is basically now 100 pips, and that's all from today, above where it was, a few months ago. And for me, price is it's pretty sideways with a bullish tint. And definitely there's a lot of momentum this morning with the pound, and those that are taking advantage of it, good. And they're, you guys are short time frame minded. Look on the pound here on the pound Japanese yen, I get above this resistance, right? And then get a test of it successfully. Then I like the pound. I'm just waiting for more clarity. And you still got some work ahead of you. You look like you're breaking out of this range today. It's easier to see on a smaller time frame. You definitely look like you're breaking out of this range, but you got some more work to do. You got some more resistance right above you. What I expect is that price gets rejected into this resistance. If it eventually takes out this level, then there's a lot of room here to the upside with nothing in the way. And if we get a successful test of that broken resistance as support and then price resumes upward, then I get very interested. But that's the type of trade I'm looking for. Something that, like, if you get above here, if the bulls get above here and some price comes up and then comes down, it tests this as successful support by price coming up again, that's where my entry will be. And I like this area over here with the risk to reward. And I'll just wait to see if that happens, right? Otherwise, I'm not going to get involved. We start getting below over here. Yeah, then I get very cautioned that we're going to see some more downside. But in this area, for me, it's still no man's land right now. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if the euro saw much lower levels. That's going to happen once. Uh, that could happen. I think the next election in France is in 2022, and depending on who's elected there, I personally think that's the next catalyst that could really the euro could break parity for sure. I wouldn't be surprised if the euro broke parity. Um, Not saying that's going to happen, but I wouldn't be surprised if it happened. The pressure from Italy seems to be abated a little bit. They had trouble forming a government. Um, we'll see, but it's hard. It's hard carrying that swamp on the euro. Uh, but I'm following the dollar, and the dollar's got to get outside of this channel to the upside for me to get long dollar at these levels. Otherwise, along here, this is when I get, weak dollar bias towards the top of this trend line is weak dollar bias. This is when I was strong dollar bias. I had a strong dollar bias the first week of the new year, right? That's when I had my strong dollar bias. And then as we came into here, I flipped that to a short dollar bias, right, Zoran? You see that? That's the difference. And I have a short dollar bias over here. Uh, if we break out of here, then things change. But we got to break out of that bull flag. Yeah, and again, you're back to time frame again, Zoran. There's a lot of, this is where everyone. It was all the way up here when people got really, really, really short of the euro US dollar, and people definitely made a lot of money holding that trade and collecting the spread. But after the election, everyone's view changed. That big gap after the French election, because um, President, how do you say his name? Maroon. He was very how would you say, EU minded, and France is a very important piece of that puzzle. If something would happen in Germany where the person elected, unlike Merkel, was very un-EU minded, that would put a lot of pressure on the euro. Um, and right now, you're sideways. You're in this sideways range. The euro is in a very, very tight range over the past year and continues to be within that range. It's not moving one way or the other with any type of edge at the moment. So whenever you're talking about the markets, it's important to really preface what time frame you're talking about. Macron. Is that pronounced correctly? Macron. You guys, I apologize. You guys all know my butchery of pronunciations. Martina, I'm not sure if you're still with us or if you called it a night. I know it was late over there where you are, almost midnight. And great trade over here, great call, great momentum play, and look at that. Blair, have a great night. Have a great night. Hey, thanks for being here. Definitely enjoy all the insight. Definitely enjoy I love the community here. I love all of the community here, and appreciate all of you because it's everyone together that makes it. I know some people are more expressive and active than others, and other people are quiet. And even the quiet ones, I always know who's involved and who's around. And I just want to give a big thank you to all of you. Beautiful trade, Heath. Beautiful trade. Great trade. And I like that you're still riding it. I really like that. One of the most important pieces. One of the most important pieces of trading is not only position sizes, but layering your positions. Just careful here as we're coming up to the top of the hour. This is when you see a lot of moves peak. Um, and it seems like many of you have taken profit here. Just be aware as you come up here now, as you're seeing these spikes. Nice, Heath. Hi, nice, Heath. I wasn't on top of it. No, if we go back into the live streams, I know on Monday and Tuesday, I noticed that this was the first time on both the pound Japanese yen that I did say both Monday and Tuesday. This looks like uh, a place where finally they're both getting interesting. But I wasn't um, but I was not taking advantage of either one of them. I was not actively looking to get involved, nor did I see the trade. Only that I saw that for the first time things were looking to get interesting. More interesting to note that you're saying that the positioning has changed and flip flopped on those. I'm gonna wait. I'm watching definitely the pound Japanese yen, and I'll wait to see if we get above this resistance here, and I'll watch what happens off there if I could get in. Anyone who's gotten involved here today, I really, really, really super applaud that, and great trading. An arrow. I'm not sure what part you're talking about, or what I was talking about when you said that. If you know what I was talking about, I could then go back and elaborate. Otherwise, because we're gonna get off here in a minute anyway. Otherwise, just right now, while the live stream's going, just pull back on it and watch that past 5-10 minutes. That's gonna be the easiest. Let's take a look at the Australian dollar, Japanese yen. I'm long here. Let's take a look. Obviously, this looked a lot better pre-market New York than it does right now, but I'm long here. Just stepping back a minute. You have this year-long trend line. All right. Since it broke, that's the sign of a trend change. And then you had it break up, come into resistance. It then tested successfully the support and the trend line. The broken resistance became support. Again, this is during the Iran fiasco. Really risk off, came back in. The trend line held again, and now we're coming up. Once we got above this resistance here, this is where I look to re-enter the trade, and I did that yesterday. And I'm long since over here, right around 75.86, just barely above it, entry right now, with my stop down at 75.44. And yeah, I'm hoping that as we're above this support over here and testing it again now, that this holds. And if it does, and we got some work to do, but if we get above, let me drive back to the daily with you. If we get above this high over here that took place recently, I think then this trade has some potential to really run at least up until this resistance around 77.80. So see if that works out or not. That could be. I'm not sure what's going on. Only I mean, Hanero, this is really important only because we're all right. We had off of the support, we had a long dollar bias, and that worked out. And we just said if we get below this support here, game's over, and we have to become at that point really bearish the dollar. The support wound up holding. We got back up into this resistance, and this is where the work needs to be done. Here, I flip my bias, and I take on a short dollar bias. Right, I'm short the U.S. dollar, Canadian dollar. There's still work to do right now because we broke over here. Things look good, and then this morning, now we're back up testing this resistance again. More work to do, but I have to continue my short dollar bias until we break out of here. We break out of this flag, then of course I have to think about getting long dollars up in this area. But that's why we take positions over here, because we know when we're wrong right away. and then we have the risk to reward on our side if the trade does fall into favor, right? And it's only going to keep working out for so long in this channel, right? We've been doing that together since over here. This was during the vacation. We noted it though, and then coming out of the vacation again, and now we're trying it again. And this is where you lean in because you know where you're wrong, and then you could reposition accordingly. But right now, right, an arrow, I'm just focused in on the chart, and I'm focused in into this area of resistance we have over here, and that's, take it as it comes, right? It's got a lot. It came up this morning. Still got a lot of work to do in this area before it could break out of this trend line over here. We're still live. That might be a connection, Prince, on your end. Glad to see you in here this morning. Oh, I'm sorry. That was the Australian dollar, Swiss franc you were looking at, not the Australian dollar, Japanese yen. So let me step back here on the daily. First, let me start by saying that I'm in the habit of selling resistances in downtrends and buying supports in uptrends. And that's not to say always. For example, just recently, last week, I sold the euro off of resistance. Well, that's a downtrend if I look at it. So, okay. I was also buying the euro down here off of this support after the failed breakout. All right. So I'm not trying to give an absolute. I'm just saying more often than not, you're going to have success buying off of support in an uptrend and selling off of resistance in a downtrend. We are in a downtrend here on the Australian dollar, Swiss franc. We're in a clear downtrend. Are we bottoming? Maybe. Who knows? But the next thing that I'll be looking to do, you have some resistance up here, and that's a place to lean in to look to sell. And right now, this support, which since we've looked at it last, we're just back at it. I can't even, you could see it over here. You could see then the support held over here, and now price is just at, there's no clarity whatsoever on this pair right now, on the Australian dollar, Swiss franc. Let me even look at the daily because it's very hard to get any type of read on it. You can say, or perhaps look at the fact that this could be bottoming. This is broken resistance holding as support, and you're back into it, and this level looks like maybe it's holding, but that's really pulling for it. You could tell by my voice, there's nothing clear. I can't really get a good read on it. And me personally, when things are not clear, I avoid them. Is this a place to go long? I mean, if I was going long this pair, which I consider to be a counter trend trade, because we're in a downtrend, is it bottoming? Maybe. I would like to see this resistance break and then hold this support. If this resistance up here broke to the upside, price came down, tested that broken resistance, and it held this support, then maybe I would like getting long here, showing that. But right now we have lower lows, so it doesn't look very good. This resistance over here held last. This is the one that you should have leaned in to sell. And so that's my opinion on it. I think that's pretty clear. Time of day also, 72 capital is very, very important. Right now we just hit time. This is the time of day. New York goes to lunch. The moves really tend to putter out around here. It's rare that you see during the next 2 hours trends continue. So to work through this resistance up here at this time of day, I would think there's a very low likelihood maybe towards the close of New York, but not over the next couple of hours. So this was a day trader setup. And if anyone is day trading that, I think you got to be protective of your profits up here. If not, take them. Again, I'm a swing trader. So I have either we come back in and test this breakout level and then resume off it, or I wait till we take out this resistance and then come back and test it and then look for a long. All right, everyone. I think this is a good place for us to wrap up today. You know, I appreciate and look forward to each and every day with you guys. Another good day. And I really like that all of you, and I see it, are definitely upping your game. That's only going to help me in the long run. So I'm all about that. Listen, everyone, enjoy your day, and I hope to see you tomorrow.